All right, so this is going to be my honest review of working with David Duford, Duford Insurance Group, after 2 years of being contracted at his agency. I did another review similar to this about 6 months after joining the agency, and I wanted to do an updated version 2 years later. A couple people were asking like, hey, are you guys still with David? What is the update on this? And so that's what this video is going to serve as, is an update of working with David Duford after 2 years of being with his agency. So let me first give you guys the background, how we joined David, why we joined David in the first place. Then I'm going to talk about some of the pros of working with David, some of the cons of working with David, and then what my plans are moving forward, whether I'm going to stay with Duford or part ways, or what I'm doing next. So let's go ahead and jump into it, starting with the backstory. Before I do that, my name's Tim. I run the life insurance sales channel with my business partner, Julian Polito, where we post a bunch of content to help agents like you succeed. So let's dive right into this video. So how did we join Duford Insurance Group? Why did we join Duford Insurance Group 2 years ago in 2022? It's not 2024. It's crazy. So me and my business partner used to work at a different IMO. We were at like a free lead program, and the problem was the leads dried up. So we were taking lower comp for nothing because we didn't have any leads. So it was a total nightmare. So we decided to leave. Basically what we did is we went in my car, drove across the country, and interviewed a bunch of different IMOs, right? So we interviewed, people in the South, people in the West, people all over the country. We're conducting all of these interviews because after the first mishap that we had with picking an IMO, we wanted to do our due diligence and be very sure of where we ended up placing our contracts and where we ended up working. And one of the things that stood out to us about David is he never actually tried to convince us to come work for him. So we drove out and met him in person in Tennessee, went to a Starbucks, sat down with him, and basically told him what our goal was. And he pretty much just, offered advice and tried to help. He never even said like, hey, you should come work for me, do this or do that. And we found that was in stark contrast to every single other person that we went and interviewed, because everyone else was trying to convince us as to why, they were the best agency for this or that or whatever. And David was very, very different in the way that he just offered value and didn't really try to pressure us into joining him. So that stood out to us a lot. And that's ultimately why we decided to join, is we felt like we could trust the guy. We felt like he was very honest. We felt like he was he had a lot of integrity as a person, right? So ultimately, we decided to put our contracts with David and ended up, working with him. And so after 2 years, here are kind of some of the pros that I've seen about David and his agency, and then I'll get into some of the cons. So the pros of working with David is, and this is kind of I'll kind of touch on the big overarching things, and then we can kind of get into some of the nitty gritty. So one of the things that David is really good about is basically looking for weak points in his agency and then improving them, right? So one of the things I've seen him do over the last 2 years, and some of the things that have changed a lot, is his training, right? So in the very beginning, his training was solid, but now I think it's excellent, right? And so what he's done is he's hired trainers. So it's not really like an upline, downline recruiting MLM kind of thing. There's basically trainers that work at his agency that help train the agents. And so he pays these trainers on a salary to help train the people under and get them producing, right? And so basically, if you're a newer agent or you're someone that wants that mentorship or wants that training, you're going to get a lot of it at Duford Insurance Group, because you will literally have an assigned trainer that will help you do that. So that's one thing that I've seen him do that I think has been really solid, and I've seen the production of his agency and of the individual agents go up from him doing that, right? So I think the training there is very, very solid. You're going to have your own mentor, your own trainer, things like that, which I think is fantastic. It's not really something you see very often in the industry. Most of the time it's just, throw the agents to the wolves and hope that they produce. So he does that quite a bit differently. The other thing I think is good, and this kind of goes with him searching for issues, searching for ways to improve and then improving it, is the leads, right? So before, when I first joined, he was really just had a bunch of different lead vendors and different things like that, and would push people to, hey, go buy leads from this versus that versus, here, wherever. And one thing he's done now is they have this lead program where basically you pay up front. Someone will set up Facebook ads for you, and then you'll work those leads, which I think is a great option for certain people. And that's one thing that he has added in currently. So that's really, 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 really great. Plus, on the lead program side, there's a lot of options when it comes to leads with Duford Insurance Group. And then the other thing that I think is great is just like, and this is really a character trait of David that I think kind of disseminates through the agency, is he's a very honest guy, right? And that's part of the reason we decided to join him, is whenever you're doing business with somebody, you need someone that's going to be honest with you and trustworthy, because everything in business is built on the foundation of trust. So if you don't have the trust, there's no business to do, because it just doesn't make sense. So you need to have that base layer of trust. You need to feel like the person that has your back actually has your back, and David 100% has your back. So he's a very giving person. He'll give value in, up front, and then he knows it'll come back in tenfold on the back end, but he's very willing to give that value up front. And so I think the honesty that he brings to the table, he's very honest and open with his agents. He's not going to try to mislead you or make a buck off you. Like, he's very focused on helping the actual agents instead of just, selling them crap leads and running away and playing golf on a golf course. So those are all of the pros. Now the cons, if you're looking to do like an MLM style business where you recruit a bunch of people or like team build, I don't think this is the best fit for you, to be honest, because David's agency is more focused on production than it is recruiting, right? They do most of the recruiting and they do most of the hiring, and then the agents do produce, right? So there's options for you to build a team if you go to Duford, but I would say if you're looking to build like a massive team or do like, more of like the MLM recruit style thing, I would not recommend joining David's agency, because it's not really that type of business model. It's very focused on production. So if you're looking to sell insurance, looking to help people, I would say it's a great fit. I mean, I recommend people to his agency all the freaking time. But if you're more so looking to like, hey, I want to go and recruit and build this massive team, MLM style network marketing, definitely not a good fit. So those would be the cons. But I mean, I guess the con, you could see that as a pro depending on who you are. But for certain people, I think that's a con. Hopefully you guys got value from this video. If you did, leave a like. Hit the subscribe button down below for more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace.